like normal fights. Not, as I like to be in the cage more than outside, so it was fun. Last minute, get some punches. They're happy.
Well, this is
Seconds ago, it just concluded. They're still in the octagon, and there is a new UFC middleweight champion. His name, Khamzat Chimaev.
I don't know how hard they are, and I don't want to know how hard they are. Nobody wants to be in a crucifix getting punched in the head like that. It's got to be the most frustrating, suck the heart and soul right out of you type thing to happen. And just getting dominated on the ground the way that he did is no.
Khamzat Chimaev dominated Dricus du Plessis from start to finish. What fans thought would be a close fight turned into a one-sided beating. Chimaev's pressure and power were too much, ending the battle with a brutal stoppage that surprised everyone. After the fight, attention shifted to the champion himself. Fans and reporters were eager to hear Chimaev's thoughts on his performance and how he felt during the bout. He spoke about his mindset and approach inside the octagon, giving insight into his focus and composure. Chimaev explained how he handles fights, showing why he was able to dominate Dricus so effectively.
Like normal fights. Not, as I like to be in the cage more than outside, so it was fun. Last minute, get some punches. They're happy.
Well, this is
Building on that, after sharing his initial reaction, Khamzat went deeper into his strategy and mindset during the fight. He explained how he approached Dricus, showing confidence in both striking and grappling. He highlighted the preparation from his camp, emphasizing how his grappling skills allowed him to control the fight from start to finish and why he felt fully in command throughout the octagon exchanges.
Like I said, like normal fights. I didn't take like this fight something so crazy thing. So he's a human like everyone else. So I knew I cannot take the guy down, control. I was surprised he didn't get to his neck. So like Usman, I think he did that good job in the camp. So the guys did really good job. I usually get whatever I want, get in the ground, So a lot of submission game. I did all 8 years, so every day, 5 days a week grappling, So I think I'm the best grappler in the UFC. My striking is not bad as well, but my grappling is top level.
Khamzat shared insight into his mindset and long-term goals. He explained the confidence and self-belief that guided his actions, emphasizing how trusting himself was essential to his success. He also discussed his position in the division, making it clear that reaching the top was always his plan, and that he intends to maintain his spot as the #1 fighter.
Champion. I always knew I will become a champion. I had the feeling about that, so when you don't feel you're gonna become a champ, so you will become a champ. So you have to trust yourself.
And Khamzat, you are now the world champion, but you are the undefeated world champion, and we only have one other under contract, which is Ilia Topuria. So if I was to look to the pound-for-pound list, is that a list that matters to you, and where would you put yourself?
I don't know. I don't care who does that things, So for sure, it has to be #1.
After the fight, attention quickly turned to Dana White for his reaction. Reporters wanted to know if the UFC president was surprised by how one-sided the main event turned out, and while many fans expect a competitive clash, Chimaev's dominance raised new questions about his place in the division. Dana addressed it directly, sharing his thoughts on how the fight unfolded from start to finish.
no. The lead up to this fight, I said, I bet the main event is the fight of the night. Didn't see that coming, but not shocked either. I mean, you go in and dominate the way that he dominated. If you can do it the first round, more than likely you can do it the second and throughout the rest of the fight.
Dana didn't stop there. He went into more detail about how the fight looked from his perspective. While the result was never in doubt, he still gave credit to Dricus du Plessis for showing toughness despite being dominated. Reporters pressed him on how he scored the rounds, but Dana broke it down, explaining exactly what he saw during the one-sided battle.
Started landing his own shots. What did you make of DDP and his toughness to survive 5 rounds?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I had every round at 10-8, maybe except for the last round. But to be in the position that he was in and the crucifix and just getting dominated on the ground and punched in the face and elbowed, and it's a very frustrating place to be in. I thought he handled it well and came out every round, trying to get in the fight and try to win. Yeah.
Meanwhile, the conversation soon turned to the punishment Dricus absorbed on the ground, and reporters asked Dana about the impact of being stuck in a crucifix position. Dana made it clear there was nothing easy about those moments. He explained that being trapped like that drains a fighter both physically and mentally, and before describing the strikes Chimaev landed,
He doesn't wave a fight off in that.
Listen, I don't know how hard they are, and I don't want to know how hard they are. Nobody wants to be in a crucifix getting punched in the head like that. It's got to be the most frustrating, suck the heart and soul right out of you type thing to happen. And just getting dominated on the ground the way that he did is no fun for anybody. I wouldn't say that, he's getting pitted-patted striked. I mean, his face was pretty busted up. The knees that he was taking to the body and to the legs and the hips, and it's going to be a long ride home to South Africa.
And then
after Dana White's detailed take in the fight, analysts weighed in with their observations. Ariel Helwani broke down the action round by round, highlighting moments where Dricus tried to fight back but struggled, focused on the technical side, noting how Chimaev controlled both striking and grappling. Helwani emphasized that despite Dricus' effort and heart, Chimaev's dominance was complete throughout the fight.
Like a minute and a half total for DDP, a couple of minutes here and there, just sort of in the ether as they were on their feet, very sparingly. Total domination. There were a couple of moments of hope for DDP in the 5th round. He's in half guard. He goes for a guillotine. But overall, I mean, you got to give DDP all the credit in the world. He was smiling each and every time a round started. He was telling his corner, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. They were telling him, you need to finish the fight. Not a lot of technique being shared, at least from what I was able to hear. They were not speaking in English at all times. I was getting the translation, but it just didn't seem like they had any answers for what Khamzat Chimaev was doing. Absolute total domination. I did see a lot of people in the YouTube chat complain.
Furthermore, following his round-by-round analysis, Helwani shifted focus to the bigger picture. He reflected on Chimaev's rise in the UFC and the significance of this victory. Beyond just the fight itself, he highlighted how this win cements Chimaev's place in the division and marks the beginning of a new era.
Not respect that kind of dominance. How do you not respect that kind of power? Khamzat Chimaev has it all, and now officially the Khamzat Chimaev era begins. We thought it was going to begin probably in late 2020, 2021 max. It took a little longer, but almost exactly 5 years after his UFC debut on Fight Island, that magical summer where he fought twice in the span of 2 days, he finally becomes UFC middleweight champion. What a freaking performance. In addition to that, what a freaking card. We had, my friends, back-to-back spinning back elbow knockouts. Back-to-back. The 9th and 10th in UFC history. A shocking submission from an OG veteran, a very fun undercard, something for everyone on this card, in my opinion, off the top of the dome.
Moving on, after analysts reviewed the fight and the championship moment, attention turned to the fighters and commentators for their perspective. Joe Rogan shared his take on Dricus du Plessis' performance, focusing on the challenge of facing Chimaev. He highlighted how Chimaev's level of grappling and overall dominance left little room for Dricus to respond, and questioned whether his training camp had adequately prepared him for such an opponent.
For Dricus to come back from that and bridge the gap between him and Khamzat, that is a tall task. Yeah. It's a tall task, because that kind of dominance, that kind of grappling dominance was not just a level. It was multiple levels. And it just didn't seem like he had any answer for that. I don't know who he brought in to train with him, but clearly he didn't bring in anybody that had that kind of skill.
Yeah, he needs to be wrestling more, but I mean, Khamzat Chimaev just did exactly what he wanted to do. His pace, his pressure, his...
Meanwhile, former champion Daniel Cormier shared his thoughts on the matchup. He analyzed both fighters' strategies, praising Chimaev's preparation and execution. DC highlighted how Chimaev controlled every aspect of the fight, from pace to cardio, and noted how Dricus now faces a tough road ahead in a stacked division. He said, yeah, he needs to be wrestling more, but I mean, Khamzat Chimaev just did exactly what he wanted to do. His pace, his pressure, his control, his cardio, everything looked on point tonight. He looked more prepared than he's ever been in his entire career, and in his whole career has been impressive. Furthermore, he added, this was pure dominance. The bookies were right. They knew, and Khamzat proved him right 10 times over. And for Dricus, he goes back into a division full of sharks. Turning from Dricus' performance, Rogan focused on what makes Chimaev such a complete fighter. He highlighted the specific tools that made Chimaev so difficult to deal with, from his grappling to his striking. Rogan emphasized how Chimaev combines power, technique, and experience, pointing out the key moves that consistently troubled Dricus.
Just did exactly what he wanted to do. His pace, his pressure, his control, his cardio, everything looked on point tonight. He looked more prepared than he's ever been in his entire career. His whole career has been impressive. This is pure dominance, man. The bookies were right. They knew, and Khamzat Chimaev proved it right 10 times over. And for Dricus, he goes back into a division full of sharks.
Well, right. I mean, he's got 3 former champions on the ledger, does du Plessis, right? Adesanya, Strickland, and Robert Whittaker. But now when you look at this division owned by Khamzat Chimaev, there are a lot of guys who can really grapple, Joe, at the top of the division. So some exciting fights beckon in the future.
Absolutely. Rainier de Ritter in particular, given his ability to grapple on the ground. And, and also his ability to land shots standing, particularly that knee that he lands. Toughness, experience. He throws those combinations with that long lead-in knee. He's interesting.
Adding on, Sean Strickland shared his perspective on the matchup, breaking down what he sees as the key factors. He focused on Dricus' experience and ability to handle elite-level grapplers, and Strickland pointed out that training with high-level wrestlers gives insight into how the fight might play out and why preparation and toughness could decide the outcome.
So I keep getting asked about my predictions. I'll give it to you, man. I think that Dricus is going to break in 5th round. The only thing is, when you train with these guys, man, when you train with these Chechenians, for 1 round, dude, it is like you're wrestling a parasite. Like, they go full send. Now, I've been training with these guys for so long that, like, I kind of know how to do it. I'm not really too threatened by it. But I just don't know if Dricus is experienced training with these guys like I have. But, man, I think what people overlook, though, and I think this is where this fight's going to come down to, who's a bigger man?
Strickland then turned his attention to Chimaev's mental game. He questioned the champion's ability to endure adversity, sharing past examples to illustrate his point. Strickland emphasized that beyond skill, mental toughness and determination are what separate fighters in high-pressure situations, making these factors central to predicting who will prevail in the octagon.
Hey man, Chimaev's a weak man. I know he's made his entire career about being this big, scary boogeyman. But, like, dude, you look at his history. Every time he's had a tough fight with a welterweight, there's always some fucking excuse. I broke my hand. It's fucking Ramadan. The reason why I look like this is because this. Like, no, dude, it's because you got tested, and the test came back. It's like, you're not really that big, scary of a man. And even like COVID, dude, like, the guy retired during COVID. I was the one that retired him. He happened in our gym, trained with me, walked out of the gym, the whole gym seen it. And I think it just it goes to show you that he's a weak man. And I'll give you an example.
Furthermore, James Lynch looked at the fight using stats and performance. He explained how Chimaev completely controlled Dricus, dominating in both striking and grappling. Dricus barely had any success, and every important move was in Chimaev's favor. This showed clearly why the fight was one-sided and why Chimaev looked so strong and unstoppable inside the octagon.
Decision. All the questions are answered right now about Khamzat Chimaev's cardio. This was a complete domination of a fight. Chimaev should have been like minus 1100 in this fight the way he performed. There was nothing that DDP did in this fight other than maybe at the very end there was one sequence, but this was all Chimaev. The stats back all this up too. This is incredible. 28-3. Dricus du Plessis had 3 significant strikes in a championship fight. That's got to be like a record, and it's not because he didn't fight well, it's because Chimaev was able to control him. So this entire fight was just Chimaev holding him down, controlling him. You look at the takedowns there, or total strikes, 442 of 467, so he gets 28 significant strikes. He got 9 of 11 takedowns. Not much to say here. This was a bit of an interesting fight because, well, like I said, we got the answer that Chimaev can go 5 rounds, so I think you're screwed either way. Like, if you're trying to fight Chimaev, it doesn't matter if it's early or late.
Lynch then focused on the bigger picture. He said Chimaev's endurance and game plan let him control all 5 rounds. Even though the finish could have been faster, the fight proved that Chimaev is at the top of the division. Lynch questioned who could challenge him now, showing that this performance confirmed Chimaev's dominance over Dricus and the middleweight division.
He's going to be able to go 5 rounds. That was solved in this fight. Just how easy he was able to take DDP down in this fight was very impressive as well. Curious to see if maybe a different style matchup, it looks a bit different, but I don't know, man. Like, I don't think anyone's going to beat Chimaev right now after what he did tonight to Dricus du Plessis. Now, look, was this a perfect fight? No, I think you wanted to see Chimaev finish DDP, and I know some people will come back and say, well, DDP's tough to finish, he's tough to take out. I think there could have been a little bit more urgency on Chimaev's end to try and finish this fight. I think that's the only thing on this fight that I think could have been a little bit better, because it was just sort of a fight where he controlled DDP. You look at his face after the fight, yeah, he took some bumps and bruises, but not the type of like fight that you would see where someone got completely beat up. Chimaev just did a great job of controlling and holding DDP down, and it really gave a glimpse into like who's going to beat this guy. I don't think anyone will. So I think most people had Chimaev by submission. That's what I did. That didn't happen. He ends up getting a decision. So credit to Chimaev for the simple fact that, you know, he was able to dominate this fight from bell to bell, and he also showed that he's got the good cardio.
Meanwhile, Luke Thomas explained why Dricus struggled in the fight. He focused on takedown defense and movement, saying Dricus couldn't drive his hips low enough or block effectively. Chimaev's fluid and fast movements made Dricus look slow, showing why the champion was able to control every position and dominate the exchanges in the octagon.
And I think you got a big wake-up call with that tonight. What really cost Dricus in this fight? Like, specifically, what cost him? First of all, he had a very, very, very hard time, number one, like, down blocking and then driving his hips low on a sprawl, and then using it like you it's not just that you have to sprawl and then turn out, and he would just kind of not get his hips down far enough, and so that he could get collapsed into the fence. And once he got into the fence, he did not have, you can tell he does not have, like, and this makes sense, he didn't grow up this way, but he does not have scrambling wrestling instincts. He cannot go to it.
Thomas then talked about strategy. He said Chimaev forces opponents into tough choices, predicting their moves and controlling the fight. By creating these dilemmas, Chimaev slowed Dricus' reactions, making it nearly impossible for him to respond. This combination of skill and smart grappling gave Chimaev a huge advantage throughout the fight.
Very, very quickly. He doesn't have the ability to move his hips and feet as he needs to create angles, to get away, to down block, to sprawl, whatever, all the various things to create, as I mentioned, with the footwork and everything else. Like, he looks like he was just moving underwater relative to what Khamzat was doing. And that's partly because I think Khamzat moves more fluidly, but you heard what Dricus said to Joe Rogan in the post-fight interview, which was he knew where I was going to go before I went there, right? But part of the reason he knew that is because the way that Khamzat will grapple, as many guys who are very good do, is they create for you a dilemma. You can go one way or the other.
Finally, Thomas highlighted Dricus' weakness in takedown defense. His first-order defense was weak, and his second-order defense was almost non-existent. Combined with Chimaev's skill and strategy, this made it clear why Chimaev dominated the fight from start to finish, and why very few could challenge him in the octagon.
Go one way or the other, and they'll slow your ascent in either direction. And so, yes, of course they know what you're going to do next, because they've kind of created a situation where you have to pick from one of their choices. Right, you have to disrupt that. But like, the problem that Dricus had was honestly his first order takedown defense was not very strong, and his second order takedown defense was non-existent. And one more time, I talked about this during the entire broadcast earlier on. We did a tape study on my Substack here. It was episode 6 of Fight Day, and what we looked at was Dricus putting his legs high in the air.
Furthermore, Long Island Luke talked about the first rounds, saying Khamzat was in full control. Dricus couldn't keep up, while Khamzat stayed fresh and dominant. Luke pointed out that takedown stats, showing Khamzat's skill in controlling the fight and making it almost impossible for Dricus to gain any momentum.
Did take him down once. I don't even honestly remember that. The significant strikes, by the way, not that crazy far apart. 37-13, only 37 significant strikes for Khamzat is kind of crazy, but he did throw 567 total strikes. So there were those little pitter-patter shots to the back of the that was a weird motion, but you guys know. Pitter-patter shots to the back of the head, but damn, man, I just feel like I don't know, man. I don't know if anyone's going to beat this guy at middleweight, but I still feel so like little to be desired after that. Little to be desired. You feel the same way, Dennis?
Dude,
Luke then looked at the overall fight stats, highlighting Khamzat's high strike volume and control. He mentioned a few minor points that could be better, but overall, Khamzat's performance showed he dominated completely.
Did take him down once. I don't even honestly remember that. The significant strikes, by the way, not that crazy far apart. 37-13. Only 37 significant strikes for Khamzat is kind of crazy, but he did throw 567 total strikes. So there were those little pitter-patter shots to the back of the that was a weird motion, but you guys know. Pitter-patter shots to the back of the head, but damn, man, I just feel like I don't know, man. I don't know if anyone's gonna beat this guy at middleweight, but I still feel so like little to be desired after that. Little to be desired. You feel the same way, Dennis?
Dude,
Khamzat Chimaev didn't just win, he sent a message to the entire middleweight division. His precision, speed, and grappling dominance left Dricus du Plessis with almost no answers. From start to finish, every exchange showed Chimaev's control, endurance, and mental toughness. Analysts and experts agreed this performance cements him as the man to beat. With Chimaev at this level, challengers will need elite skill and strategy to compete. This fight also highlights how preparation, confidence, and execution come together at the highest level. Chimaev's ability to combine striking, grappling, and fight IQ created an unstoppable force inside the octagon. Fans witnessed a near-perfect performance that could define his career trajectory for years to come. Can anyone stop Khamzat Chimaev's rise in the middleweight division, or is he untouchable right now? Share your thoughts in the comments.